revolutionary energy arts family.
Oh, good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. I know Jen and the Birds said she'd be right back, but she still gets first.
Emperor Rex, good to see you. Scott, great to see you as always. We have a fun one here today. There's a lot coming out. Again, when we've said to you that we've changed yugas, we've gone from a dark age. Dark as in we don't have a clue. Nobody tells us the real deal. We're given nothing but lies and false histories and narratives. To a Bronze Age, we're going to have some information that we're going to be able to work with. It's really all about understanding what's really going on around us. And humans have been totally in the dark.
Yeah, we have. We've been kept in the dark, dark, dark. Hello there, Christine Love, Miss Jenny Pace. Good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, I hope everybody's having a great day where they are. Saturday, wonderful, well, pretty nice day. A few puffy clouds, but no storms where we are. But man, just north of us, yeah, there was some serious flooding going on, but there's like insane flooding around the world.
I notice sometimes, like, when people in the chat, there's always somebody who has this weird, funky character right by their name. And today it happens to be Jen. I don't know, Jen and the Birds. I don't know if you can see it, Jen and the Birds. But yes, Jen and the Birds, you've got the mark.
Yeah, it looks like a Chinese character again. It has something to do with some symbolism, I guess. Google has designated. I thought we got to the bottom of that at one point in time.
No, yeah. Yesterday it was Robbie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you look over here. So, okay, I hover over it. All it says is hi, and you go away, and then there's a little character there. So interesting. And KK is here with both grandkids. That's awesome. We're going to talk Bigfoot, guys, Sasquatch, Yeti.
Oh, that's so fun. And KK, make sure that they get an account and they're watching EEARTS. We want 2 new subscribers by the end of the show.
And what I like to do is try to tie things together. And again, piece different myths and legends with what's happening right now in the world. And kind of so we could work it out in our own minds. Does this seem logical? Does that seem logical? Well, look at this. This is the Dominican Republic. That's in the Caribbean, in case you don't know where the Dominican Republic is. It's north of Venezuela, which had those 2 earthquakes. And, the one thing that those earthquakes did in Venezuela was, got me subscribed to some geologists that I had never seen before. And I've been following these guys, and they've been talking about how that double bang earthquake, that boom boom earthquake was 2 big ones, 7.275, they say, within a minute, right? It shifted the whole Caribbean basin. It literally did. It is, I think, honestly, a harbinger of real monumental, massive earth changes that are just starting to get going.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, the amount of craziness is going on right now. I don't know. I don't know if we're coming up on something. I know the energy is very heavy today. Heavy, a little chaotic, high anxiety. And Moon and Mars are pretty close together today too. So, I mean, that can make things difficult.
Yeah, it's all relative to the position of Uranus, as Joni would say. Joni Petrie, that is. Another one of our favorites. But yeah, look at this insane flooding. Absolutely insane. Oh, man. The Dominican Republic. Oh, where are we? We're in Tajikistan. This is totally on the other side of the world. And look at the situation there. It looks a lot like the situation in the Dominican Republic. Both of these are just filmed in the last 24 hours. Complete opposite ends of the planet, but very similar conditions.
Yeah, I mean, what do we think about that? What do we think about that? I don't know. It really feels like we're just kind of so close to another kind of shift. And I know cosmic speaking, planetary speaking, well, at least I feel it. I mean, it's in my body. There is something stuck in my body that I'm unable to get out for like the last 3 days. And it's very, very uncomfortable. So I know that, I'm attuned to the earth, and that just tells me something. That tells me there could be something afoot. And, we're always doing our best to stay ready to do something. But if we need to, I try to make sure the dogs have their collars close if we have to up and leave. But I would never really leave here. I don't want to leave here. But it just feels like, planetary speaking, something's just right on the afoot.
And I saw one of our favorite people was in the house, and I just wanted to get your attention over there. You might know Greg as Cortez, but he's got another channel that he just brand new brought this out for all of us. It's You Is You Official. This is going to be so fun. He's going to be doing live street interviews nationwide, mind body entertainment or entrainment. Entrainment. So, do please go and subscribe. And, Greg is going to be getting this rolling. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And you're on Why You Is You. Why You Is You. Why are you really you?
I have no idea.
Is your aura tired? Do aliens watch you shower? I'm GP3, and you're on Why You Is You.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So I'll make sure to put a link in there, and let's see if we could roll over into 3 digits come tomorrow.
Yeah.
Again, he is just a bright light, and we really enjoy him, and the world needs more of that for sure.
Oh my gosh, I know. And the question about aliens, do they watch you shower? Huh?
I don't know. Again, you're never alone. When you're in the bathroom, you're not alone. So, yeah, somebody's probably watching you shower. And, again, look at Tajikistan. This is just insane. Insane what we're watching going on. And I'm going to move this over to the other side. Okay. This is Mumbai. Again, massive flooding. India, all over the world. And like we've been saying, this is ramping up. And Missouri, the flooding we saw yesterday in Missouri, and really just when we got done with the live, we saw massive flooding that was going on. We have a lot of family members in Missouri. There's a lot of you guys from Missouri. State of emergency. Again, a foot of rain in less than 24 hours. It's just sad and insane. And, this is where we're at. All the flooding that's going on, does it maybe make it easier to figure out what really happened to some of the other civilizations that were here on planet Earth but aren't here anymore?
Yeah, I think it's definitely helps for people to understand, why is it getting so. I think the mud flood is getting around. People are not just hearing about it, but they're actually seeing it, which is different. It's one thing to hear about aliens. It's another thing to see it. It's one thing to hear about mud flood. It's another thing to see it. And people just, I think they're really putting a lot of dots together these days. It's it's pretty rough out there, as far as the terrain goes, emotionally. I mean, they have everybody's head in some type of EMF sound frequency wave. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely welcome, as always, brother. It's just one of those things. So I hope we'll be able to get together at some point. I hope we'll be able to get together with all you guys at some point in time. I've had visions too of being able to get on the road and do things like that. That's just awesome. So I'm so happy again for our good friend there. And we're saying prayers. All of our friends in Missouri are okay, but the flooding, very serious. Again, state of emergency there. Here in China, you had a dam collapse. Over 900 snakes escaped from a snake farm. Whoa! I hope there's not a lot of poisonous ones out there.
Oh my gosh, that's really horrible. I didn't know that they made snake farms. I wonder if it's one. What are they? All those black and white striped ones? I wonder.
No, I think it's a lot of different varieties out there. That looks like a cobra. It does look like a cobra. I love snakes. I've had multiple snakes over my lifetime. And we currently have a python that's actually been with me for a very long time, probably about 15 years now that I think about it. But at the same time, yeah, I'll steer clear of the poisonous ones and, just bid them a good day. Meanwhile, this photo is supposedly of the city of Krakow in southern Poland near the Czech border. Serious flooding there. Is it in the history books? If you look hard enough, you're going to find some mentions. But at the same time, why weren't we brought up with the whole concept of mud flood in high school, in grammar school, or even when you go into college? It's always given that that's a pseudo topic, as in, yeah, it's not really real. No, it's real. I mean, it's obviously real. It's again why we unfortunately only have 46 people right now in chat. Again, they don't want the real truth coming out. And there's some subjects that you would think, well, what's so taboo about discussing Bigfoot, right? Well, if it is a case where Bigfoot is invisible to most of us most of the time because it wanted to escape the system and was literally created to be a worker like humans, according again to the Sumerian stories. But if Bigfoot really learned how to ascend and move beyond the ability of the dark control matrix to control them, then yeah, they don't want you knowing about Bigfoot because you might do the same.
Yeah, you might realize what you can do, what you're capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Sin Havoc. We saw a video that showed a snake that had to be 50, 60 feet long, something like that. I forget. It was taken from the air. It might have been longer than that.
Yeah, it was pretty big. It was just amazing.
Yeah, exactly. They've constantly been revising. Again, look to the Masoretes, and when you look up Masoretes, that's with an S. It's a group of scribes. They're like priestly scribes, and what they constantly do is revise and edit the scripture. Well, if you're constantly revising and editing the scripture, does that mean something about it is wrong? I mean, if it's right, you would just leave it as is, right? I mean, why the need to constantly revise and edit? Just like our history, again, it's really interesting to think about this. Well, if we see what earthquakes we have, this is the biggie. This is 6.4. South Sandwich Islands region. I don't know why they call that. This thing, this shape, which, is kind of suggestive in some ways, could look like a snake. Let's just leave it at that. But I think what you're looking at here is a big impact. And when you look at this area in some maps, there are some maps that show a connection between South America and Antarctica. Did they just simply have information wrong and we have it right now? Or were they connected, but something literally hit it? And I'm going to bring up Google Earth just to show you guys a little bit. Did something actually hit it and literally change the topography of the planet? And what does this have to do with Bigfoot? Well, what if Bigfoot was an earlier attempt at us, but was too strong, too big, too powerful, and too connected to Mother Earth, and it just didn't work out. So they had to start over again. So when you look at this, it almost hits, and I'm not the first one to say this. Other people have said this too. Like, there was a major impact of something big here that just slid along the ground here. And so, was it connected? Literally, because again, there are maps that show that it was connected. And then, of course, there are maps that show Antarctica circling the entirety of our land masses on Earth. Yeah, it's fascinating. There's so many things that are still here that they haven't gotten rid of yet, but they are getting rid of things left and right. Mr. MBB was showing, and by the way, look at these straight lines. This is the Cocos Islands National Park, Costa Rica. Look at those straight lines. That looks like a runway. Look at an airport from above. It looks a lot like that.
Yeah, it looks like an airport.
It does. Again, this is in the Pacific off of, again, Costa Rica, Panama area. And you can see how big these are. They're massive. That's gigantic. I don't know, but there's lots of things that are very interesting. Lots of formations and some things that look like they might be whole cities under the water. I think that's going to be revealed pretty soon. I think we'll have acknowledgement that there are literally cities under our oceans with more advanced beings than we are living in them. Yeah, it's really, really fascinating. Again, I just love doing these deep dives and digs into different things. Humanoid robots pulled off first ever gallbladder surgeries. Major step towards human trials. Here they are. Yes, okay, this is Dr. Robot 1, Dr. Robot 2. Yep. Would you trust them? I mean, I think there's some doctors, unfortunately, that are less than trustworthy, but, there you go. Trusting them with our lives. This is the future, they tell us. The future is going to be advanced robotics like this, and, all the decisions being made by AI. This is, again, one group. There's one group of humans that want this to come. Others, are totally against AI, and then there's a lot of us that are kind of like, well, we'll take the AI, but in moderation and within reason.
Yeah, you look at that surgery, it's probably around 30,000. So if they can have robots do it, well, that's just going to be more money to the controllers, who already control everything, and that's what they want to do. This is our bifurcation that we are witnessing right now, and it's happening in slow motion. And doesn't that make things even more painful? I mean, the band-aid that when it's stuck to your skin, isn't it always better to just rip it off? But we can't because we're witnessing it. So this is pretty harsh, the reality of things. I would not personally want one of these things working on me. I do prefer a human, but at the same time, there's a lot you can do instead of gallbladder surgery at, at any time, unless it's a complete emergency. So we'll have to keep an eye on this and see which one is next. I do know people who've gone in for surgery and there was just the slightest mistake, because something failed. And, then they're just clinging to life because of this slight mistake. And that's just not okay. So, I mean, is a human more susceptible to a robot? A robot is just going to do what it's told. Is that any better than a human who might be a little bit sleepy? I don't know. I think we just need to get healthy, stay healthy, and not worry about things like this, if at all possible.
Yeah. As Regina said, the future of medicine is frequency. Totally agree with that. Rosemary, she's our resident naturopath. You don't need to remove your GB. No, again, it is what it is. And, when you're in a ton of pain and you're scared, then you could be nudged into making decisions that maybe if you weren't in the pain and you weren't nervous, you wouldn't do. And Spermageddon, is the world facing a male reproductive crisis? The answer is yes, according to all the science. Mind-blowing. Testosterone has declined by 50%. Not really. When you're exposed to estrogen constantly, that's going to be one of the things that's going to happen.
Oh, thank you so much, Koma Kaneko. We do appreciate that a great deal. You are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, brother. We definitely appreciate you. And, it's just been such a blessing to know you guys for so many years. Again, we've been doing this for 9 years. I did pull in, when I started the channel, people that I had worked with before that. So, I mean, some of you guys, you've been with us a really, really long time. And, again, it's a blessing to know every single one of you. And we definitely want this family to get stronger. We want to take this family to new places, and we also want to be able to work together more in different ways for anybody that wants to. Again, evolutionaryenergyarts.com is being updated and upgraded as we speak, and we've got a lot of high hopes for doing some new things.
Indeed.
So, yeah. Male testosterone levels just plummeting. But again, it's known that plastics can induce estrogen production.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things going on with our hormones, and there used to be a time when women were going through menopause, it was a non-issue. It was just a non-issue. And now with so many different plastics in everything, the hormone disruptors, peri is hard. I mean, there never used to be such a thing as peri, but the medical system, they like to label something so they can treat it and make money for it. So that in between and your period and, having that completely done, that is really hard. And I've been learning a lot about menopause lately. And I think one of the most fascinating things I've learned is that it's only humans and a handful of whales go through menopause. Every other animal on the planet does not. They just stay fertile until they die. So it's a very important process for women to go through, and it actually ensures that the survival of species.
Yes, absolutely. Tomorrow we'll do one on evolutionary, going in and touching on some things like I saw Rosemary was saying, you can help raise your testosterone. It's easy to do. Yeah, absolutely. And I've used certain things for 20 years, and it works. And, honestly, at 61 now, compared to 20 years ago, there's a little bit more wear and tear on the body, but it functions fine. It really does. And able to still do just about everything that I did 20, 30 years ago. I can't think of, actually, I would share that I think in some ways I'm much better now than I was at 30 or 35. For one, absolutely no problem with allergies. Um, Allergies used to plague me, and I don't have any problems with allergies anymore. Again, and this is with the knowledge that almost everything we're taking in is toxified. Our water, our food, everything. It's just so loaded with toxins. One thing I've noticed too lately is like, if I ever get something that's maybe, it'll say it's non-GMO, but it doesn't necessarily specify that it's organic, I could tell a difference. I could really tell a difference now, and it wasn't always the case.
I know it's now it does seem like it's the line is clearer when we're eating certain foods. And well, look what's going on. I mean, the world is quite explosive, and I'm pretty sure Uranus has something to do with it.
Oh,
boy.
boy. There she goes. Keith, thank you, as always, for all the love from over there in Rhode Island. No testosterone, no young Harley riders. Ooh, coincidence. I don't know. Honestly, I've had like 3 Hondas. I've never had a Harley. But, I don't know. I guess I just kind of go for a little bit lighter stuff. But everybody, to each is their own. And so, I'll do a video too just to show you the bike that I did get, because it's completely practical. Literally, it cost me $70 a year for insurance, and I get 120 miles a gallon. And I've been putting more miles on my bike than my car now. We don't have a car, we have a truck. And that's the whole reason for getting the bike, to have backup. But when you look at this is an existential crisis. And here you go. There was a professor, Shauna Swan, suggested that sperm counts could hit 0 by 2045. What does that mean? That means that we would end up going the route of some of these guys. Well, just another hominid that lived on planet Earth that is going extinct. When you look at these, you have Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo rudolfensis, all these, Australopithecus again, Cro-Magnon even, and of course Denisovans and Neanderthals. The Denisovans, Neanderthals, and perhaps Cro-Magnon, perhaps others too. They still live on in us to a degree. But what really happened to them? You're given Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest, but we weren't the fittest. That's the thing. Neanderthals, Cro-Magnon, Denisovans, they're all like heavier boned, heavier muscled. They were able to withstand more temperature swings than us. They had bigger brains than us. Why did we survive? In my mind, the answer is we survived because that's what the system wanted.
That they wanted something intelligent and controllable, so they got us started on the earth, and then immediately started to put in the control matrix that we have right now. And it's not until you strip away that control matrix that you can really see how much our lives, how much we have been altered. I mean, it's crazy.
The other thing that always gets to Cindy and I is when they make out like Cro-Magnon and Neanderthals and Denisovans to make them look more animal-like and more, let's say, less intelligent. Because I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that they were less intelligent. And, I think in many ways they were really superior to us, in that a lot of their DNA that has been switched off in Homo sapiens sapiens wasn't switched off in these. When Cindy was channeling directly and doing trance channeling more, which is tough on the body and the heart. So she had a lot of health issues that were arising, so we had to back off the full trance channeling. Because when you have like 6 density beings coming through, the body can't really handle that frequency so much, and it does wear the body out. But what we got with Neanderthals and Denisovans was, how did they really become extinct? It's exactly what's happening right now to us right now. It was, again, a lot of it was toxins dropped from the sky. And it might not have been, 727s or, military aircraft, Airbuses and DC-10s, whatever. It could have looked like saucers. It could have looked like long cigar-shaped UFOs. It could have been, big triangular ships too. But back then, in that time, there still was the program to spray those living on the surface.
And, this is exactly what they're doing now. I mean, we showed a video the other day of someone just scraping up some stuff off of his roof, and he put a magnet to it, and it was magnetized. And, we were just talking with our friend Karma Doc the other day, and she's doing some research, and now she's discovering all of the things that are needed to glob onto the heart and cause heart problems. They're all mixed in the air that we breathe, and they can be activated through a frequency. I mean, it's right there. We're breathing it right now. So how long is it before they're going to just flip the switch? And because they can, and this is how they've set it up. So I don't know. It's so frustrating to me that I think the only thing we really have right now is to really have to watch our health. Absolutely have to watch our health, because that's what we have control over. As far as that, I don't know what we have control over from the time that we get out of bed to the time we go back to bed. It's very, very difficult to say how much manipulation is really going on, how much manipulation is going on in our house, through our phones, through our routers, that manipulate us from morning to night. Right now, it just feels like cradle to grave.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just noticed Karma Doc was saying that she would love to have a BMW F650 rally bike. That's a nice choice. Absolutely. Absolutely a nice choice there. So I think, again, there's been many different humanoid species on planet Earth. And when you really look at it, again, they've hidden the coming and going of advanced beings, which used to happen all the time in the open. Earth is a refugee planet. Ultimately, we've been a refugee planet. We've had many different species. Australopithecus walked upright, but was adapted for climbing. Paranthropus, distinctively large jaw, is not Australopithecus or early Homo. Then you have habilis. Proportions of the finger bones suggest the ability to use stone tools. Erectus, short and stocky, but with similar cranial size to modern humans. And Neanderthal, heavy, muscular, with a larger cranial size than modern humans. So in other words, we have smaller brains than something that went extinct. Why would that be? And the same thing with Denisovans. At first they were saying Denisovans were like a branch of Neanderthal. Then they made them, their own separate, subsection. But, I don't know about these timelines too. I feel like everything is so far off. I do think, there's been advanced beings here on Earth, and back when it was Tiamat, I wouldn't be surprised if there was advanced beings here for hundreds of millions, even billions of years, possibly. But again, it's so hard to get timelines. Now, how about this, guys? Let's just listen to this. What do you think? That's supposedly Bigfoot. That was from the BFRO. This looks like a 60s cheesy movie, doesn't it? There, a Canadian woman hiking a Vancouver Island took this photo of what she believes to be a Bigfoot. Could be. It does have the feel of a 1960s action adventure.
It sure does.
There's so much that's come out, though. I mean, there is just so much out there, but it's fun to look at, and also in relation to what we've gotten from the past. Here's some recent 2026 Bigfoot sightings generated significant attention. Actually, this has been a really big year, and last year was a really big year. Sightings are increasing. They are absolutely increasing. March 2026, the Ohio Flap, the Bigfoot Society, and BFRO documented 8 sightings between March 6th and 10th in Portage County and surrounding areas like Mantua and Garrettsville. Again, this is Ohio. You know, a lot of times people will think Bigfoot and you think, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, California, but there's a lot of sightings in Ohio. There's a lot of sightings in Kentucky and in Pennsylvania and in Florida. Florida is one of the top places. Of course, then we're talking skunk ape, which typically is a little bit shorter version. There's many different subspecies, I think, involved in what we call Bigfoot. I think you have many different experiments that have happened in the past. I think, again, we tend to lump them all together, but if we just put them all in the same basket, it's kind of a disservice. Like we wouldn't, say an orangutan's a chimpanzee, etc. Chimpanzee's certainly not a gorilla.
No, very different.
So witnesses report 8 to 10 foot tall bipedal, dark reddish brown creatures with stilt-like strides and low hanging arms. Yeah, the arms generally are much longer than human arms, and they tend to have a very long, like lumbering stride. Unexplained howls and large tracks, 14 to 16 inches, found in ashland wetlands, classified as Class B, which is physical traces. First major surge in the region since the 70s, suggesting a possible spring migration of a herd. I didn't know Bigfoot would be a herd. I guess, perhaps. So California, July, so that's this month. Shaver Lake encounter. June 28th, 72-year-old Linda Dixon Smith reported a Class A, which is a clear visual sighting, 8-foot-tall creature near Shaver Lake in Fresno County. Credibility BFRO founder Matthew Moneymaker deemed the witness highly credible due to her extensive outdoor experience and the creature's distinct appearance. Reddish fur, visible skin. The figure stood motionless in a grassy clearing for several minutes as she drove past. She later confirmed the spot held no trees or stumps that could cause an optical illusion. Other reports in 2026 in Idaho, teenagers in Valley County reported 9-foot-tall figures with dark fur, reflective eyes in May. A man near Deadwood Reservoir saw a reddish-haired figure in June. West Virginia, overnight workers in Tabler Station spotted a large figure near a railroad facility in April. Ontario, rural residents reported Sasquatch encounters involving strong odors and knocking sounds in June. Despite the volume of reports, no scientific evidence has conclusively proven the existence of Bigfoot. Well, I mean, again, there is evidence out there. They're on that automatic denial, just like we get out of the AI. The AI is programmed to go along with everything that's mainstream. So it automatically comes out with words exactly like that. Despite the volume of reports, no scientific evidence has conclusively proven. Yeah, that's frustrating to hear that type of language, and it's gaslighting. That's exactly what they're doing. Well, how about this? This man found Bigfoot corpse, and it's been DNA tested, showing 58.5% Neanderthal and 41.5% human. Snake the Bigfoot hunter reveals he found an 8-foot, 300-pound corpse in the Adirondack Mountains. DNA testing showing 58.5% Neanderthal, 41.5% human. Neanderthals still live on in us, but never more than single digits. So In fact, I think the Basque people over in the Iberian Peninsula, as it looks like it might storm now. It's getting kind of ominous looking out there. The Basque people have the highest amount of Neanderthal DNA that we know of. At least that's been what I've heard. But this gentleman says he discovered the decaying remains by smell, followed larger footprints nearby. He believes it was killed by another Bigfoot over territory or mating. Tests on blood, hair, and fecal matter from Cornell's veterinary DNA lab confirmed the hybrid profile with some indigenous markers suggesting ancient crossings via the Bering Land Bridge. Snake calls skeptics victims of Bigfoot derangement syndrome. It's like Trump derangement syndrome. Again, it's all about keeping us divided. And notes global sightings plus verification from native tribes who identified it as a bark eater. He's faced an uphill battle for mainstream acceptance, but displayed it publicly and worked with the Japanese documentary team. And this could definitely rewrite things. What's your, we'll see, what's your vibe on Snake?
Let's go to the source. Charles Stewart, better known as Snake, the Bigfoot Hunter, joins me now. He's also the author of the Bigfoot Bible. Thank you so much for taking the time. First, how did you find these remains, and what made you think initially this could be Bigfoot's remains?
Well, I found it west of Old Forge Central Adirondack Park, and the reason I found it was just being in the right area where I could smell it, because this body was decaying, and I just followed my nose deeper and deeper and deeper until, bam, there's this 8-foot-long, 300-pound specimen in front of me, and this thing was sitting in a poison ivy patch and just was absolutely disgusting. And based on what we figured out, this was dead probably about 2 days when I had found this specimen. Okay, and what was interesting is next to this body were some larger footprints. And after speaking to a couple other experts, we determined that one of the causes of this specimen's death was probably from getting bludgeoned to death by a larger Bigfoot. So
two.
Yeah, absolutely. And this could have been over territory or mating. We believe it was probably due to mating because this is a male specimen we have, and this is around 18 to 20 year range, and we figured that out by the dental decay. How much?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. This DNA testing, what exactly was the testing, and what was it done on? The hair, teeth, soft tissue? What exactly?
Yeah, we had blood, hair, and fecal matter, and we just submitted it all and got that done through a friend of mine who worked at the Cornell Veterinarian Bio DNA Lab, and the results came back. As you mentioned, 58.5% Neanderthal/Denisovan, and that I had to do a little bit of research myself to figure out exactly what's going on. The Denisovan is a Asian kind of Neanderthal. It's mixed with 41.5% human, and some of that's indigenous. So at some point they did cross over the Bering Land Strait and have been in the Americas. So what we have there is, a very dangerous, aggressive. We know they attack each other, and they could definitely attack and hurt humans for sure.
Do you know how old? Do you know how long it's been dead for?
2 days.
It was dead about 2 days when I found it.
2 days. So wait a second. Let me. So you think it was attacked by another Bigfoot 2 days prior? In other words, there's another living Bigfoot in that area.
Yeah, and I mean, we call them Bigfoot, but these are like Neanderthal human hybrid. And there's another one that attacked this one, and one of the interesting things we found on our specimen, which we showed to 60,000 people, was this reproductive bone, and that's an anomaly that the Bigfoot has that is also in polar bears, and these are adaptations that allow it to procreate in an aggressive way, and that leads us to think that they don't actually form family units. They're very nomadic. If they do engage, it's for that aggressive procreation, and then they go their separate ways. So
did you send this to a forensic anthropologist, or did a forensic anthropologist look at these remains?
So right now we've had the DNA test done. I've been trying to get more people to actually be in person with the body. I did get a documentary team came and peer reviewed the DNA, and this is a documentary team from Japan, and they filmed the whole a little movie on this, and they have released it there, and I have snippets of it on our website. And then what was really great is at the showing of this the first time. There was the Six Nation Indian tribes of New York, the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Tuscarora, and Seneca tribes. They came by and looked at the body, and when they left and came back and gave me an award. They had came in and immediately identified it as a Bigfoot, as a bark eater, which is another name for Adirondack up there. So it's been like multiple verifications across different paths, and we're trying to get as much people to see this thing as possible.
Have you got any other mainstream verifications, any recognition from more of the major bodies or experts?
We're looking to get some additional people involved with the body. It's been an uphill battle, and
why? They don't believe it?
Well, Bigfoot has been considered kind of taboo and stuff. It's the thing is, this is a global phenomenon. This Bigfoot have been experienced or encountered globally. Okay, but it's still, as you know, with what happened with UFOs, that was considered fringe until it's not. So we are literally punching our way through wall after wall, getting this information out there. And, the main thing I'm trying to tell people is you got to be careful when you're going out there into the wilderness.
Or grab a camera, because my gosh, look, it wouldn't be surprising to me if there's now a Sasquatch committee on Congress. Look, the UAPs, UFOs, extraterrestrials, Snake, you might be ahead of something here. I appreciate you coming on and.
So what do you guys think? What's the vibe that you get from this?
Well, it's the Bronze Age, so it fits. When we did come into the Bronze Age, I talked about it, and I said, well, the only thing that's going to really change is we're going to see more, we're going to know more. There's technologies are not going to be able to hide as many things. The cloaking devices may not work as well. And, people are just going to know a lot. So does walking into the Bronze Age, does that mean things are going to get better? No. In fact, things might get a little bit worse because people know what's going on now behind the curtains. So I'm going to go with, yes, I do believe this is true. Could I be wrong? Sure. Anybody could be wrong. But to me, it goes along with the Bronze Age, and astrologically speaking, it's fitting for where we're at in the stars.
I think, again, just think back to if you have a witness of a crime, the criminals tend to want to eliminate the witnesses, right? We've all seen movies like that, and we know that really is a real thing. Well, what if the crime was literally by these ultra-terrestrials that have remained hidden? What if the crime was that they basically committed a genocide on not just one, but more than one type of species on the planet? Bigfoot, Yeti, abominable snowman, Sasquatch, Yowie, skunk ape. And also, recognize there was a lot of different giants. And when you break it down, is it possible for a fox and a dog to mate? Is it possible for a wolf and a dog to mate? Well, yeah. They're not exactly the same, but they can. And, again, I think that we're brought up with this idea of how hard it is, but I think this whole reality is created for life and for more souls to have physical experiences. So whether this turns out to be a hoax or not, but as you can see, this is all over. It's on Fox News. It's on like a lot of different places. I think it's inevitable. Here we are. We're going to have confirmation, of ultra-terrestrials. It'll be with a twist because there's going to still be things that the governments don't want us knowing about extraterrestrials. They're not going to give us all the info. They're going to try to keep some things buried. And we're going to have confirmation, again, that, yeah, there is something to Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and look at this. Neanderthal babies were built different. They could reach toddler size in only 6 months. This just came out yesterday, too. Again, a new study with a 50,000-year-old infant skeleton reveals our extinct cousins. Well, maybe they're not extinct if they're living on in Bigfoot and others. But yeah, absolutely more rare than us. Well, they grew surprisingly fast. Yeah, they were better suited than we are to make it to adulthood.
Well, I think this is so extremely appropriate because look at other animals. Look at horses, look at cows. I mean, a foal is up on its feet usually within hours, if it's healthy and strong. And same with a calf and all the other mammals that are out there and everything. They're up and running very quickly. I think who's probably the other slowest? I think kangaroos might be a little slow because they stay in the pocket, and there might be something else. But just look to the animal kingdom when you're looking for answers to anything. That animal kingdom is going to tell you a lot. And in the animal kingdom, there is certainly, it's not survival of the fittest. There's a certain amount of grace. Elephants are absolutely magnificent. They know when a human is good and a human is bad. In fact, there was a story of this man who helped the elephants. He was helping them. He was trying to save them from being shot. And this man, he had passed away, and all these elephants, they came to mourn him at his home. It was very interesting. Like, how did they know that? And I totally believe that, we all need to just go easy on each other and help each other survive in a world that's so crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And tricks are for kids. Thank you for being part of the family for so many years. We're glad that you've been following us and still are. Yeah, it's pretty wild out there. So this was an incredibly well-preserved skeleton of a Neanderthal infant from an Israeli cave. They were in for a surprise. Now, think about this, too. When you look to the Bible, and it talks about people, giants in Canaan. Now, the interesting part of these Neanderthal skeletons is they were more robust, but they weren't really taller than us. Bigfoot is taller, typically than the average person. But with the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, they weren't really taller, but they were way more robust, thicker boned, heavier muscled. But you also have this other aspect of these giants, and the giants that were inhabiting Canaan and the Levant area, and that were basically exterminated. That's really the wars where the Israelites were going to the Promised Land. It ended up being that the people that were there were pushed out and gone for the most part. Some, I'm sure, stayed and intermarried. But, you got to recognize what happened was, again, a group of people kind of pushed out another group of people. And if that group of people were more Neanderthal DNA'd, then, that's part of what the Bible's literally telling us. Neanderthals made tools, buried their dead, and they mated with Homo sapiens. There's your interspecies. There's been many people that say that what you take to be Nephilim are just really Neanderthals and Denisovans. Again, there's a lot of confusion. I do think the Bible has been put together in such a way to create a lot more confusion and maybe hide some aspects of the history.
Yeah, I think that's what they want to do. They control the history. They've controlled the narrative for eons, since we could really start doing anything. And when we see anything that's really, really popular, I think that's like the first thing in my head. It's like they are in control of this, even if it's the Mahabharata, even if it's, something in the Vedas, even if it's something, from Buddhism, Hinduism, everything. It's all still handed to us from that controlling force. So that makes it very important that we use our discernment. And again, it all goes back to keep working with each other.
Ella Bean, a professor at Ono Academic College in Israel, first author of the study, tells El País there are some notable differences: robust bones, a large endocranium, no chin, a high curved clavicle, a superior inclination of the scapular spine, an inferior orientation of the glenoid cavity, and a relatively short tibia. These are biological differences between the two species, but doesn't mean they couldn't mate, because they did. But what you have also is the fact that the Neanderthal child was developing much faster than the Homo sapiens sapiens would, much more advanced, just like Cindy was bringing up. So, definitely not the case of survival of the fittest. It was more like there was another thing going on in that. This, by the way, is the BFRO.net. It's something I've watched for like 30 years, or since they first started out. And in fact, I regularly take my bike ride at night right by an area where there was a documented sighting that's here on the BFRO. And I could tell, before I realized there was a sighting there, I could feel some sort of energy there. I would call it a cryptid type of energy. And it really stood out to me. So then I went looking for, our county and Bigfoot sightings, and I saw that there was one right there. So yeah, when you look at certain states, like state of Washington, 732 sightings right here in this particular, website. That's a lot of documented sightings. State of Washington, big time. But Ohio, 335. How many do we have over in Florida? 348. California, 471. Oregon's another good one, 262. There's a lot in Oregon too. It's just not as heavily populated as some of the other areas. So, this is also, you could look at this on Facebook, and it gives you a lot of info on different encounters. Here you go, Keith. This is Connecticut, right on the Providence, Rhode Island border. Sasquatch sightings, Beach Pond, Connecticut. I've been up in the Northwest Hills of Connecticut and definitely felt something. I never saw one. But I did investigate Dudleytown, which was a ghost town, and it's a very well-documented ghost town up in the Northwest Hills. That is an interesting place. Oh, yeah, camped out there. That was a lot of fun. Here you go. Here we have some more.
And the man holding this camera is close enough to count the hairs on his head.
That's pretty good video if it's real.
Yeah, it looks pretty darn good. If somebody did a costume and makeup, they get a gold star.
I need you to really look at what you're seeing. There is a Bigfoot crouched in the brush, hiding behind a tangle of branches.
It looks like a real eye, whether it's somebody with really good makeup and everything or not. It does have a real feel to it.
It does, and this isn't the only one that I've seen that is finally clear. I've seen a few that are clear, and I do feel that Bigfoot has a way to sense certain beings and sense certain technologies. They have that ability to work in with through portals and to see the fourth dimension. That's where we are lacking. We're completely cut off of that fourth dimension unless we use our senses. These beings are not. So obviously they're smart enough to hide. They know to stay out of sight.
Yeah, so this is Michigan. I'm not sure where Newaygo County is. It says Western Michigan. But yeah, absolutely. I did do some camping up in upstate Michigan. And oh man, there's plenty of places for tons of people to hide and never be seen up there. Very, very dense woods. Yeah, it's just really, really fun stuff. The Bible describes Esau as a skillful hunter and a man of the open country. He is said to have been covered in thick coat of reddish hair over his entire body. Wait a minute, that sounds like a red-haired giants. Remember that? Lovelock Cave, red-haired giants. Yeah, here you go. They're going to do a new biblical movie with Jacob and Esau. So you have that reference in the Bible. Esau was the firstborn son of Isaac and Rebekah, and the elder twin brother of Jacob. Born with hairy, reddish appearance, he became a skillful hunter and man of the field, favored by his father Isaac. His name means hairy, and he was later called Edom, meaning red, after selling his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of red stew. Despite losing the birthright and the patriarchal blessing through deception and his own disregard, Esau forgave Jacob upon their eventual reunion and became the progenitor of the Edomites. The nation of Edom settled in the hill country of Seir and frequently conflicted with Israel. In the New Testament, Esau serves as a symbol in Hebrews 12:16 of someone who is godless and values immediate physical gratification over spiritual inheritance. Well, is it also maybe, from a different standpoint, literally a species that was less controllable and another one that was very controllable and obedient?
Yes, something to think about.
Yeah, and then how about this? What do we have here? Gilgamesh and Enkidu. It's another story. Here you go. Gilgamesh, the giant holding the little baby lion. and Enkidu with his horns and his spear. Again, we were, I think, Earth at times, and maybe even today, as you see another depiction of Enkidu. Earth itself is an island of Dr. Moreau, so to speak, with all these different hybrid creations, always looking for better worker bees.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So Enkidu is Sumerian, and again, it's an ancient epic. It goes to Gilgamesh. This is one of the oldest stories we have. There's a representation of Enkidu, and it's 4,000-year-old representation. He was a comrade, a brother, a friend of Gilgamesh, king of Uruk. And Gilgamesh is taken to be a Nephilim himself, a hybrid between the Anunnaki and, again, giants. The appearance of Enkidu as a primitive man, an earlier version as they work through other newer hybrids that become, less threatening, easier to control.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too hard to see how this could all work together. Well, then what about Hanuman? Hanuman, exceptional ability, exceptional strength, always does the right thing. He is, again, one of the focal points in the Ramayana. And he is Rama's right hand. Just like Enkidu and Gilgamesh, Hanuman is the right hand of Rama. And, there is this monkey army that literally helps Rama retrieve Sita, who was kidnapped by an Asura and taken to an island of Lanka. And they literally make a bridge to get over there, get their army over, defeat them in battle, and then free Sita. So again, you're seeing hybrids, you're seeing monkey men, so to speak. By the way, there are footprints all over the world, especially over in Asia, of giants. This is like literally a giant shoe print embedded in stone. And look at the size. What is it? Size 24? Wow. But there are also barefoot ones too. embedded in stone and just preserved for thousands of years. Some are probably literally created, chiseled, I would venture, but some are very real. And there's stories associated with this. It said Hanuman could make himself go from like 6 feet tall to be like 50 feet tall. How in the world would that be possible? Well, again, how is it possible to shift your own frequency and go to another dimension? Humans have been left out on how to do a lot of things for pretty much all of our lives.
Everything's right there. We've just never been told.
It is, and it all kind of pieces together when you start looking at it. Here, people are still revering the footsteps of Hanuman. Giant footsteps. Here's another one. Again, they're all over the world. You especially find them between India and Southeast Asia. These, interestingly enough, look very much like they might belong to more of a giant gorilla or something along those lines. You have the opposable toe, I guess. And we do know, as you see a human, a gorilla, and then what's this? This is Gigantopithecus. Gigantopithecus is very real. This is an exact replication of Gigantopithecus. So it's in the fossil record. We have teeth and jaw bones. We have them from China. We have them from other places around the world. 8 to 10 feet tall, probably better than 500 pounds, maybe 700 pounds. They existed. Now, they'll say they died out maybe pre-Younger Dryas period. And probably most died out with the Younger Dryas extinction event. But still, there are pockets. And, it doesn't take much to figure that that is a Bigfoot or something that we would have called a Bigfoot. And we were used to having these different giants around us in our past. And, of course, the Native Americans, they have stories that just talk about this in depth, as well as also stories that talk about reptilians under our feet, the Greys, the Ant People, all sorts of other entities as well.
Oh, yeah. Years and years. They've been here forever.
Yeah. So, again, this is an exact replica of what they say a Gigantopithecus that scientists will tell you is very real, just that they believe it died out over 10,000 years ago. But it did definitely exist, as you see here. Somewhere between 440, 660 pounds, gigantic, just much bigger. In fact, he's holding a tooth right there. Gigantopithecus blacki was named by anthropologist Ralph von Koningswald in 1935, based on 2 third lower molar teeth, which he noted were of enormous size. We found in Nevada a gigantic tooth that I don't know what it was from, but it was big. And of course, Nevada is also famous for Lovelock Cave, but we were, 300, 400 miles south.
They have horses out there. Could have been.
Could have been a horse, could have been a donkey, maybe, but it was big. But then horse teeth. And I don't think it looked like a horse's tooth. It looked very human.
I don't know. It could have been.
Anyway, they're saying that probably it was closest to an orangutan in appearance. That's at least what they give us. Oh, here's a good one. Dad scaring the kids. Bigfoot. The kid comes at first. He's coming through and he's like terrified. Oh man, that's a good one. There he is. Yeah, what a jokester. Oh, here's a good one I've got to share with you guys. Yes, this is gonna just the icing on the cake.
What the hell is that?
Ah!
Oh no.
Michelle Obama is Bigfoot.
Oh, it's brutal out there.
It is. It is. I hope you guys got some enjoyment out of this. This is a white moose. Literally, it's a white moose, from a trail cam. So cool. So cool. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. Thank you, Koma Kaniko. We appreciate you. We love all you guys. And, again, this is a great time in the sense that we're going to start to get some answers. I really do think so. But they probably won't tell us all the truth.
I know, it's true. It's true. So thank you so much, Komo Kaniko. Thanks, everyone, for your thumbs up and all the support out there. It really, really helps us get the information out, and it keeps these lives going. I want to give a little update on Miss Mary. We've been praying for her for a few days. She is, seems to be making little tiny progress, little by little by little. So whatever you guys are doing out there, let's just keep doing it. And if anyone else needs prayer, there is a prayer wall on the community page. And, there's some prayer warriors out there, and that's just what they do. That's their job. So thank you so much. I'm going to do some dings here.
I'm GP3, and you're all.
And again, please do go subscribe to our brother Greg over here. You is you. It's going to be a fun new channel.
You guys are amazing. Source bless and namaste.
Loka samasta suki no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my own thoughts, words, acts, and deeds contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom of all. As always, guys, much love, so much gratitude. Source bless. Namaste.